joined in 2005. I was 21. My dad said that ever since I was a wee girl, I always talked about joining the police. Watching Silent Witness, Amanda Burton, things like that when I was younger.
Please mind the doors. Doors closing.
I'm from a kind of small village up north and didn't really experience a kind of lot of violence or anything like that growing up. Joining the big city kind of life was quite different. It opened my eyes up to a lot of things.
Floor 12. Doors opening.
I've been on like something like 32 murders in 4 years. I'm just about to get suited up to go in and I'll take a note of all the details and phone you back if that's okay. It is hard to switch off sometimes. I think especially when you're kind of in the midst of it and you're on it every day and you're trying to go home to family life and you're like, right, I need to switch off, and you know, 1 minute you've been up in a crime scene suit and covered in blood and then the next minute you're going through your home door. None of my family are in the police. They're oblivious and it's a nice way for them to be. They don't know the half of what we have to deal with.
Nicky, how are you? So there's puncture wounds to his body? Like a claw hammer? Aye. Aye, it's interesting about the top, the tracksuit top. It's possible he's been assaulted and then either taken his clothing off or had it taken off him and then been further assaulted. And any obvious weapons? Right, okay. Nicky's had a close look at the body with different lighting. Okay. Nicky's of the view it's perhaps there's more decomposition there than we first thought. We believe we know who it is, and the person that found him is identifying him. However, such are the extent of the injuries, we really need to look for a more formal identification, probably fingerprint.
When we went in, straight away I've observed the deceased sitting with blood pattern coming from above him in the chair, on the ceiling, and extensive facial injuries where his skull was actually caved in. The sergeant described it like possible gunshot wound to his face. To me, it was a clear murder from the outset, that he'd clearly sustained a brutal attack. And potentially, due to the nature of where the blood was and how dry it was, he looked like he'd been there for a number of days and for quite a while as well. So the priorities were for CCTV, house to house, and to try and secure witnesses.
How are we with the occupants on the 11th and 13th floors?
We are all done bar two. All done bar two. Mostly negative statements. I haven't seen anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Have we spoken to the direct above and direct below?
Again, I'm piecing together who is speaking.
But there's no obvious disturbance.
There's nobody speaking a specific disturbance within the last week. It's
Right.
kind of ongoing issues between our deceased and the boy John, and we're just working out exactly who John is.
Right. If I can have it within the hour, that'd be good. We've got everyone accounted for on the 12th floor.
Okay.
So it's a case of the 11th and 13th floors just to try and get everyone. I'm keen to get that nailed down tonight before folk start, disappearing or forgetting things. The forensic strategy was progressing, obviously house to house and CCTV, because we don't often get a building that's as well covered by cameras. CCTV we won't have access to till 8:30 tomorrow morning. I'll give them another hour or so and then look for an update.
Okay.
Just a waiting game now.
Yep. Yep. One step at a time.
Your main thing is to get the locus secure, so it's to make sure that you've got your cordons in place and to make sure that nobody else goes into that flat. There'd been a witness for that incident who had let himself into the flat, had found the deceased and had obviously let himself back out. So you're thinking DNA aspect, that you need to get him secure, his clothing, his DNA, and you also have to think of, is he potentially a suspect as well? Your mind's going 100 miles an hour, but yeah, your adrenaline gets you going and you just get on with it.
Okay, so looking into the living room, obviously deceased is sitting on the chair closest to the window with his back to the wall.
I mean, there's blood spatter on that wall.
Yeah. Right, okay.
Is that blood
Yeah.
spatter as well? I mean, it's almost the four walls of the house,
Yeah.
4 walls of the room.
Clearly somebody was swinging. It's all over the place. I'm wondering if they've used that hoodie to wipe their hands, because whoever's walking out of there is going to be covered in it.
But certainly, I mean, somebody's lost the plot.
No, big time. Absolutely, it's gone way over the top.
Aye.
And the injuries are pretty horrendous, to say the least. See the way the chairs are set up with that ashtray, as if somebody had been sitting on that chair with the ashtray at their feet. So maybe a prize in the ashtray for us.
The blood pattern was immense, like over the ceiling and the wall and behind him. It's probably one of the most violent kind of scenes I've ever been to. Because his injuries were so horrific to his face, there was just no way that he was going to be identifiable facially. You've got to think, is this actually the householder? Is this somebody else? Has the householder killed somebody else? And this is somebody else lying there, so it's all these things going in your head as well. You're trying to find out who he is, and you're also thinking of the family, because you're thinking this is somebody's loved one sitting there. You've got to make sure we've got that evidence secure. I usually do room by room, so I just start kind of within the kind of room area where he's been found initially first. Intel unit are quite interested in bank cards, phones, kind of receipts, anything like that. There's certainly no signs of a disturbance, so there's no upturned tables, there's no signs that there's been kind of any struggle. But certainly where he's been positioned in the chair, it looks like he's been either taken by surprise or he's been overcome by the assault and he's not been able to defend himself, and he's been assaulted on the chair where he's been sitting.
Good morning, everyone. What we're dealing with today is the suspicious death of Stephen George Wallace. Stephen with a PH. Circumstances yesterday were about 10 to 11 in the morning. A male who resides at Williamsburg Court contacted the police to say that he was concerned as he hadn't seen his friend, the deceased, for a week. Police then start carrying out checks for hospitals, etc. But in the meantime, he lets himself in. When he goes in, he sees a male who he identifies as the deceased sitting in an armchair in the living room. And in his words, it looks as if a blowtorch has been taken to his face. I don't need to tell you, clearly a frenzied, sustained assault with significant violence involved, and it's quite evident that the perpetrator of that assault will be covered in blood or whatever else. There are, I think, 6 external cameras which cover all exits to the building. There are cameras in the common stairwell. There are cameras in both lifts. And there's cameras on the ground floor foyer. However, there aren't cameras on the individual landings. CCTV is absolutely critical in this inquiry, getting that recovered and viewed. The main issue with this investigation at the moment is actually narrowing that timeline in. There's no obvious weapon found within the house. My interpretation of that scene is that the majority of that assault has taken place at or near to that armchair. There's no disturbance as such in the room, there's no tables upset, it is generally untidy. There's nothing to suggest in either the kitchen or the bathroom there's been any attempt to clean up.
It was quite obvious from the moment I entered the living room that there was a lot of blood staining and blood patterns. Initially, my interpretation was you've got 2 sites where the deceased has been struck. One, in my opinion, likely to be him standing up in front of the chair, and secondly, repeated sustained strikes into wet blood whilst he's in the position on the chair. The assailant would have wet blood on their clothing, on their hands, on their shoes. To us as forensic scientists, this is always a positive, because if they do have wet blood on their clothing, they can potentially leave a trail of blood, this being maybe contact stains on items that they come into contact with after having committed the incident.
Who stays here?
Don't know.
And it looks quite recent as well. It doesn't look old. I don't know if you want to phone Intel, John, and see who stays here. Just in case it's a person of interest, and I'll give late shift IB a phone and see if they'll come out. Hiya, pal. We're just coming up to have a wee look at this.
No problem.
Thank you. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Quite dried in, Nicky.
Yeah,
But it certainly looks
I just thought it did look like blood.
it looks like blood. Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
definitely blood.
Okay. Sorry, bother you, Laura. It was just to make you aware of blood that we found on the 13th floor. And it's quite like a kind of concentrated bit of blood on the kind of doormat. It was just to kind of let you know. I didn't know if you'd maybe want to obviously progress inquiries with getting entry to that house, Laura, just to make sure there's obviously nobody within, and to try and make contact with the householder to Because it's directly above our deceased flat, it's basically right above him. Okay. Thank you, bye. Bye, bye. Yeah, they need to get in the house and make sure there's nobody injured behind the door or anything. So, especially because we're getting no reply and we've had no contact with that householder since we've been here since Sunday. We did intel checks and we've established who the householder was, and quickly, thankfully, established that per householders it was legitimate blood from an injury that they'd sustained. They had nothing to do with it. Perfectly explainable, and and they were able to account for why that blood had been on the doormat.
Police have launched a murder hunt after the death of a man in Ibrox. Arrested a 15-year-old boy in connection with a suspicious death in Police say a 45-year-old man's been arrested in connection with the death of a man in Dalkeith this afternoon.
Whereas we've had 3 other homicides in Scotland. One in Blairgowrie, one in Alloa and one in Dalkeith. It's fairly unprecedented to have 4 apparently unrelated homicides in Scotland in one day. But we had a challenge to get an inquiry team.
It's a huge responsibility being senior investigating officer in a murder, and that's not a responsibility that I take lightly, but I do consider it a privilege to be able to do that on behalf of a family.
Hi, good morning everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Maxine Martin. I'm a DCI. I'm currently working with the Public Protection Unit. I've been brought out to help with this inquiry just due to the number of cappies that are on the go at the moment. Yesterday we had the post-mortem results. Essentially what the pathologists are talking about is he's got multiple linear lacerations about his head, face and shoulders. What they're talking about is some sort of heavy bladed implement. Might be a machete, something similar to that with that sort of weight behind it. In each location where he's been struck by this implement, it's caused either a fracture to the skull or a fracture to the bone, and essentially that's what's killed him. One of our kind of main priorities is to identify any kind of weapon that's been involved in that assault. In terms of the post-mortem as well, yesterday one of the main challenges we had was that the deceased was not able to be identified because of the extent of the injuries to his face and head. It's not possible to carry out a visual identification by a family member. It took us a wee bit of time last night to get fingerprints from him, and we've now managed to establish that he is who we think he is, Stephen Wallace. But now that we've got that confirmed this morning, we'll be getting an appeal out to the media. We need to confirm the date and the circumstances of the last known sighting of the deceased so we can narrow our time parameters. We're still working on the victimology and the lifestyle information. We're wanting to identify all persons that have got a grudge or a motive to harm him.
The first footage that was identified was from the 17th. You can see this is Stephen Wallace coming from Clarence Street. And this is the last footage of Stephen Wallace alive. Is entering the block on the 17th of February. when you look back at it with the knowledge of what subsequently happens to him, yeah, it is. It certainly seems normal. And no obvious issues at this point. Stephen Wallace is last seen alive on the 17th of February. Not seen again after that. His daily behaviours are that he would appear on CCTV footage at least once during a day. His phone records show that his phone's active up until the 18th, and then from the 18th there's no activity.
What I can tell you is that on Sunday the 4th of March, we received a call to attend at an address in Williamsburg Court, which is in Lacey Street in the Seat Hill area of Paisley. Stephen Wallace is a 46-year-old male who stayed at that address, and he was found dead within his home address.
You can even tell it was him. The poor guy just did not stand a chance. It just doesn't kind of comprehend how somebody can have that much violence inside them to sustain repeated blows, not just one blow, but repeated blows to somebody's head. It's just unimaginable. You just can't even think of what would go through your head to be able to do that to somebody.
We're trying to establish who he associated with, places he frequented, and we're trying to gather as much information as we can about his lifestyle. And we're absolutely determined to catch the person that's responsible for this.
This locus is getting secured at the moment.
Who's that?
That is the boy Atkinson. I think he goes by the name John and Adrian, isn't it? So Adrian Atkinson, he goes by the name John. But he knows the deceased. He's like pals with the deceased. So through other witnesses, it was quickly revealed that Adrian was an associate of Stephen, and that they did know each other, and that there had been a fallout previously to our incident as well. So yeah, I think there was very quickly a connection established between them both.
Adrian Atkinson was clearly an associate almost on a daily basis. They're seen together on CCTV footage. This is the 14th, 4 days before the murder. Adrian Atkinson and Stephen Wallace coming down from the floor. They both have flats on floor 12 at Williamsburg. Seeming good spirits, having a laugh and a joke together on the way down in the lift. They were relatively close associates for a number of months prior to the murder. They'll leave the block together, head to a local shop, buy alcohol, and take it back to the flat, Stephen Wallace's flat. Does he seem in good spirits at that point? No issues? And it jumps on 10 minutes or so, they return with their carry out.
He basically speaks to becoming a lot closer to the deceased around about Christmas time. Asked what he'd done together. Apparently they would just watch the telly, sports, talk about football, the drink, go to the shops. Described the deceased as good company, just a big quiet, gentle guy. Can't think who would want to do this to him. He was very accommodating, happy to come along.
Because of the amount of blood that was there, we knew the assailant would have a lot of blood on them, potentially on their hands if they've not used any gloves. We were at flat 12-6. Adrian Atkinson's key was flat 12-3, so 3 flats are on one side and 3 are on the other. And you have to go through past the flats to get to his from Stephen's house. There was smeared blood on the door to Adrian Atkinson's flat.
It became quite apparent that essentially you had contact surfaces which had blood on them, which in my opinion could well be from an assailant with the deceased wet blood on their hands or on their clothing. The right-hand wall, there was a contact blood smear, and also on the outside of the door handle to flat 12-3 was another contact blood smear. This is a blood stain which is on one of the door frames inside flat 12-3. You can see that this is a much heavier deposit of blood staining, which could be a result of somebody having brushed past the area whilst wet with blood. And this is another blood stain. This was on the living room door. To me, it appeared to potentially have been deposited by somebody's hand. It almost perfectly fits into where my palm or my hand may sit on the door. We DNA profiled all of the blood, and on each occasion, the blood matched the DNA profile of the deceased.
Going right back to the beginning of the billing period, there's daily contact between Adrian Atkinson and the deceased. Every single day, phone calls and text messages. There's a couple of text messages dating back that the deceased has been threatened. So 16:56 on the 6th of January, Stephen Wallace receives a text message from Adrian Atkinson. You're going to be very, very sorry for bringing a lying scumbag, I promise you that. There's spelling mistakes in it, but essentially that's what it means. You've got to be very, very sorry, man. On to the 7th. This is Atkinson to Wallace again. In fact, you better pray that I don't see you again, you prick, because you'll be very, very sorry. On the 17th of February, this is the day before the murder, at 10:43, Wallace contacts Adrian Atkinson. All right, bud, how you doing? Fucking terrible, no fags, fuck all to eat. Same mate, it's torture. I know. It's doing my nutting. So at 10:40, Atkinson contacts Wallace. Are you up?
This footage is from what we now know to be the day of the murder, the 18th of February. This is around about 12:05 in the afternoon. Atkinson's wearing a black Stone Island jacket. He changes his clothes during the day and it kind of becomes apparent from the CCTV footage, but at this point, heading down from his flat. This is Atkinson returning to Williamsburg Court, which would be prior to the murder of Stephen Wallace, we believe. You do see from when he enters the lift, he appears under the influence, certainly. Sways back before entering the lift. But no obvious signs of aggression or anger. Presence of mind to check his reflection in the mirror. Stephen Wallace is still alive at that point. The next footage we have initially presented as just unusual behaviour. The foot of the stairs to the block, which is the only other way out the block other than the lifts to the front door. We see a male here who's not identifiable initially and exiting the fire escape. He's got a black bomber jacket pulled up over his head and a green bag for life. Seems full of something. Now, as the male that exits the fire escape, as he exits the fire escape, you can see his face. He's identifiable as Adrian Atkinson. Now, he keeps his head covered until he turns the corner and probably believes he's out of CCTV view. The information we have from statements is that the friend and Adrian Atkinson then go to a shop, Paul Padawaga's shop, in Glasgow Road, Paisley, and that's the footage we have here. At no point does he seem out of the ordinary.
The evidence was beginning to build up against Adrian Atkinson. We obtained a statement from a witness who provided information. After Atkinson had been seen on the CCTV footage, he admitted that he had in fact murdered Stephen Wallace. I determined that Adrian Atkinson should be declared a suspect.
Right, the plan is, guys, also the development for Operation Answer. So the plan is going to be to go up and effect the arrest of Adrian Atkinson, who's now the suspect, and we're going to take him to Govan Police Office. All right. 5 you go up, the arresting officers are going to be Mo and Ross. It's going to be a Section 1 arrest. It's under suspicion for the murder of Stephen Wallace. Everyone quite clear, got your PPE gear on. Any issues, give us a phone back here and give us an update once you've got a hold of him and are en route to Govan. All right, guys? Good.
Obviously, you're aware of the extreme levels of violence that were used in the murder of Stephen Wallace. I wasn't prepared to leave it overnight, so as soon as I had him declared a suspect, I wanted him in police custody so that he didn't have an opportunity to commit any further crimes of violence against anybody else.
Just need to be on our toes.
I had to consider the various tactical options that are available to arrest Atkinson. I considered whether a public order or firearms response was appropriate.
Just turn it around and come back down.
I arranged for officers to attend at the front and back door of the premises in case he made an attempt to escape.
We maybe keep one here to keep a wee eye in case he sneaks at the back, in case we can't get in. Just kind of hear watch in case he comes out of that wall or something. Cheers.
It is a big thing that I'm asking them to do, and it's not something that I take lightly.
The police. Where are you off to?
Nowhere.
There's been a few developments, alright, and inquiries. This may or may not come as a shock. I'm arresting you under Section 1 of the Criminal Justice Scotland Act 2016 for murder. You're not obliged to say anything, but anything you do say will be noted and may be used in the evidence. Do you understand that?
Well, aye. Adrian, we're going to be taking you in the back of our car. I take it you're not going to be doing anything silly. Adrian, our car's just round the side, okay? So is your bag out there?
Aye. What's your heat?
confirm your name for me, please, sir?
Adrian John Atkinson.
The suspected offence?
Murder.
There is good reason for keeping you in custody under Section 7 of the Criminal Justice Scotland Act 2016. The reason you're being kept in custody is an offence of murder, and is to facilitate police interview. And you can be detained up to a maximum of 12 hours. In some circumstances, it may be necessary for you to be kept in custody for up to 24 hours without charge. Do you have any comments to make?
No.
When we first examined Stephen Wallace's house, obviously there was a lot of blood within his house. So initially you would think that there would be good forensic opportunities in that. However, when we examined that blood, what we found was all of that blood was Stephen Wallace's blood. So what that told us was that the perpetrator hadn't been injured while carrying out the assault. But it didn't actually take us forward in terms of identifying the person responsible. What was more significant was the blood that we found at Adrian Atkinson's flat. There was a fingerprint, or what appeared to be a fingerprint in blood, on the front door of his flat, and there was some blood around the door lock. And as it transpired, that turned out to be Stephen Wallace's blood. We found 11 spots of blood throughout his house, and 6 of them were from Stephen Wallace, and they were in quite significant locations. So again, that was really important in terms of the evidence available against Adrian Atkinson. I think the work really just starts after the arrest. At that point, we've got sufficient evidence available to arrest and charge Atkinson and to put him to court. However, what we've got to do is we've got to make sure that we've got sufficient evidence available so that we can secure his remand and his full committal in respect of the charge. And that's where the work really begins.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I'm sure everyone will have seen the updates. We had some quite significant developments in the inquiry. We changed Adrian Atkinson's status. He was officially declared a suspect in the investigation, and we deployed teams to try and trace him. And he was arrested on suspicion for the murder and taken to Govan Police Office. So we've still got pulsar searches to do of Atkinson's flat and his van today. So it'll be quite interesting to see if we get anything back from that.
This is in relation to the murder of Stephen Wallace at Williamsburg Court. So he was brutally murdered, we reckon it was Sunday the 18th of February. We managed to kind of get the body recovered from the house, and a male was arrested, Adrian Atkinson. Adrian lives in 12.3, our locus is 12.6. I think a lot of folk think, yeah, somebody's arrested and that's it, it's down tools and that's kind of everything done, but no, absolutely not. You've got to think of ahead of the court case, and you've got to make sure you're going to do justice for this family and make sure you get every bit of evidence possible to make sure you've got a secure and tight case for court. You just have to focus and you just have to think, well, we just need to get to the bottom of this, of what's happened, and find out why he's done this to him. We've not found any weapons. I'll show you his injuries. The pathologist is saying it's consistent with blunt force trauma caused by a machete-style kind of hammer, axe. But you'll see the kind of trauma he sustained with his head. It's been pretty brutal. So as you can see, there's heavily kind of blood staining all kind of around the armchair, all up the walls and all on the ceiling. But it is quite dry now. It'll just be full suits, full PPE gear, guys, for going in, just for your own kind of safety and protection as well. And just to see if we can find any potential weapon. But yeah, no, if there's anything, I'm going to come up with you guys anyway. We'll get suited and booted in. If there's anything, then just ask me when we're there.
No worries.
All righty. All righty, no bother.
Compliant, absolutely no issues whatsoever. He has already been interviewed as a witness in this inquiry, and he was described by the interviewing officers as cool, calm and collected. In actual fact, at that stage, they said that he showed absolutely no signs of nerves or anything like that at all. He was able to provide an account of his whereabouts, and he commits in his initial statement that he never uses a stairwell, he always uses a lift. He says he did use it on one occasion, and that was because there was a power cut. There wasn't a power cut on the 18th, because we can see other people in the lift in the CCTV. There's going to be key witness statements getting taken this morning, so we'll break after stage 2, we'll review it, and then we'll go back in. We're going to take F8 out front of you, alright, so maybe a wee bit of time. You're right, we're going to take it out front of you, okay? Out front of you.
Okay, that's you, Mr. Wallace.
All right. Just take a seat, Adrian, far end, please. What's your name, please?
Adrian John Atkinson.
And your home address, please?
12-3 Williamsborough Court, Paisley.
Thank you. Are you working just now?
No.
You got an occupation?
I'm painting a decorator.
You're painting a decorator? Okay. Adrian, tell me in as much detail as possible your involvement in the murder of Stephen Wallace.
No comment.
You're friends with Stephen Wallace. Have been for a long time. You see him every day. A very violent attack that happened to Stephen. Yeah? You're nodding your head.
No comment.
You know it was a violent attack?
There was a lot of blood in Stephen's flat. A lot of blood. Multiple blows he's took to the head. Using something sharp, something heavy. That'd been a lot of blood on the person that done that. Is there any reason why Stephen's blood might be in your flat?
No comment.
The interview is the opportunity for the accused to give an explanation for anything or to provide anything that might be exculpatory. And if they fail to provide that, then we go with the evidence that we've got.
We've got to show you some CCTV footage. In a statement that you provided to the police, you says that you always use the lift.
wearing a distinctive dark Stone Island jacket. You'll see the Stone Island badge on the arm. What appears to be a pair of blue jeans.
There's a blue Stone Island jacket taken out of your house. The person that recovered it had gave his opinion that it looked as if it had been recently washed. Have you recently washed that?
No comment.
What were you washing off the jacket?
No comment.
Were you washing blood off the jacket?
Do you know who that is that just walked out there?
No comment.
Looks like you with your other jacket on.
No comment.
Black jacket with orange lining.
There's an absolute blatant attempt to try and hide who you are. You pull your jacket over your head, you're carrying a bag, and you go away for a period of 3 hours. Satisfied you've done what you've done with that bag? Were you trying to get rid of something?
No comment.
Were you trying to get rid of a weapon that you used?
No comment.
Clothing that you were wearing?
No comment.
We never recovered a weapon, so I called up the support unit. There was a team of 6 of them, and they basically went through that house top to bottom for me again as well. And they were like, Nikki, 100%, there's no weapon here, there's nothing. So then you're thinking, well, he's taken that away and he's disposed of that, so you're thinking where. Unfortunately, we never did recover the weapon.
We'll just phone update the boss here a moment. Hiya, how you getting on? Aye, no, we're on a break just now anyway. He's just been put back into his cell. We've just been notified that his detention period has been extended and his lawyer didn't put up any objections to that. Total no comment throughout. Certain smirking, no signs of remorse, no shaking at all with the situation. No, nothing at all. No, it's frightening, isn't it? He's quite stary, he's quite happy to sit and stare right through you and no comment, you know. No intimidated at all by the fact that he's sitting as a murder suspect. Incredible.
Adrian Atkinson, just out the blue, turns to her and says, I know you don't like violence, however I've done that Stephen in, I've killed him. He then produces a mobile phone from his pocket and she says it's basically a picture of, as she describes it, can't identify the person, but clearly that person is very badly injured or dead.
We obtained a statement from a witness that Atkinson had showed them an image on his mobile phone. And when she described the image on that mobile phone, it contained some specialist knowledge in relation to the injuries that Stephen Wallace had. So that was quite significant evidence in the case.
She describes the kind of Celtic top or green and white top, and as what she says is a red face. She says at that point she's in total shock, doesn't understand how that's come about or why that would happen. She just describes him as he's absolutely nuts, and at this point she thinks, I need to get out of here. At that point she says Adrian Atkinson turns to her and says, you will be back, you better not tell anybody, as she walks out the door.
This is the first one. Right. With the download, this isn't the actual capture. This is just when he's accessed it. Right,
well, but it's on the phone.
It's on the
Yep.
phone. We've got a few. I mean, he's took a few separate angles and he's moved round, so there's a kind of more frontal view. This is what you would see with the time and date stamp, and it'll have like longitude, latitude.
Right, okay.
I'm actually surprised it's still there, to be honest, because usually they delete them.
How long is it going to take you to get
That's
through
good.
looking at all them?
Well, it's to get to page 27. It's took me about an hour, so I'll just continue with.
Okay.
Definitely. Fresh, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what she's talking about, the red face as well,
Definitely.
which is very
As
different
per-
from what he was like when we found him.
As per the statements, yeah.
It's difficult to understand Atkinson and that image on his mobile phone. There are still things that I come across that I do get shocked and surprised by, and I'm glad that I still get shocked and surprised by what I encounter, because I think that shows that I'm still human and that I've not desensitised to what I see.
Nice big gentle guy, that's how you described him in your statement. We sit together, we watch the football, we have a drink. Sure, pal. I've done him in. That's what you say. You might even say, I've killed him. Do you remember that?
No comment.
And you take your phone out your pocket and you show a picture. Who was that picture?
No comment.
Why were you showing him a picture on your phone?
No comment.
I've done him in, you says. Who are we talking about?
No comment.
You show them a picture of a guy who's that covered in blood they can't even identify who he is. That was Stephen Wallace, wasn't it?
How do you feel when you think about your pal dead, murdered?
No comment.
You get anything to say about it?
No comment.
Any remorse?
No comment.
Feel bad about it?
No comment.
Up until this point, you've been arrested under the suspicion of the murder of Stephen Wallace. You're now officially arrested and you're now an officially accused person. On the 18th of February 2018, at flat 12-6 Williamsborough Court, Lacey Street in Paisley, who Adrian John Atkinson did assault Stephen Wallace and did strike him multiple times to the head and body with a heavy bladed or sharp-edged article, and you did murder him. Do you want to make any reply to that charge?
Unfortunately, in some cases, we never really understand the motive behind it, and this is probably one of those cases. There were various suggestions put forward that could be the motive for the murder, but we don't know for sure. One of the theories that was explored was that the murder was in retribution for a vandalism that Stephen Wallace had carried out at an associate's address, and obviously the levels of violence don't equate to punishment for a vandalism. Another theory that was put forward was just over a minor fallout where he had looked at him the wrong way. But to be honest, to this day we still don't really know what the motive was for the murder.
Change of status.
Change of status,
What's your name, sir?
To Adrian John Atkinson.
Was not officially accused, now an officially accused person.
Certainly, I was probably a lot more naive's maybe the word. When I first joined, you didn't really think there was people like that out there. And I don't maybe trust a lot of folk as much as I maybe trusted before. I think you're more sceptical and you are more aware of things going on.
Charge time?
14:54.
There's a lot of satisfaction to be gained from identifying somebody that's responsible for a horrific crime such as this and seeing justice served. And I now know that Adrian Atkinson is in prison for a very long time and he'll not have the opportunity to do that to anyone else in future. And I hope the family takes some satisfaction from that.